I think my faith has really helped me to understand that if for 90 minutes you're a footballer, but behind the 90 minutes, behind the shirt, once you take the shirt off, that person's first and foremost is a human being. And I think as human beings, we all go through emotions. And so whilst you might put that shirt on and feel like a hero and a superhero, you're going to have to take it off. And a lot of players dread the day when they have to take it off for good, because they lose a lot of power that comes as associated with that shirt. So now you're dealing with the human being, the person. And I think it's important that we remember all the time that this person is the same as you, who has emotions, has fears, has doubts, anxiety. And it is a real high when you're playing, but then it's the low. And that's where we try and help them in terms of building back up the self-confidence, the self-worth. You're not just a footballer, you have got something now to offer the world.
Jono, that's fascinating. The shirt analogy, brilliant. So when players have to take that shirt off for good, that's a drama moment, a dramatic period in life. Straight back at you then, when you knew the shirt was coming off for good, tell us when that was and what role your alternative vision of self, your Christian faith, had in this.
I likened it to like when you love somebody, or you have a real devout love, and that's all you've seen yourself with or to have, and then that gets ripped away from you. And I likened it to that experience, that there's nothing that you can do with your career, because there comes a time and there comes an age where you're at where it's on the downward spiral. And once that gets tugged away from you, then who are you if you don't have your faith? Because your identity is in, I'm a footballer. This is all I've known. Once that curtain gets drawn and it's the last time you wear that shirt, then there's a real battle about who you are now. And if you don't have a real comfortableness in who you are, for me it was around my faith, then you go on for the next seasons, years, still defining yourself as a former footballer, but you're not comfortable about, okay, who are you though? That's in your past. Who are you now? Because you're still attached to that Saturday afternoon, to that shirt, but you're no longer playing the sport. And so there's a real challenge issue around the identity of a football player once they're coming out the game, and the comfortableness to really say, this is me.
Give us a couple of moments then on actually coming to a faith during a playing career, because it used to be quite unusual. It's pretty normal now in football. Yeah. There's so many people of Christian faith and indeed other faiths in professional football. The taking the shirt off part as a younger man, how did your faith emerge in professional soccer?
I was always aware of my faith. Came from a real Christian upbringing with my grandparents. They were Pentecostal, churchgoers. And as a youngster, there was no, you might be going, you are going. And that was good, but it also carried its own resentment a little bit. As I started to go through my teen years, I started to not rebel, but football's on a Sunday morning. I'm going to go football now. I'm old enough. I'm not a young toddler anymore where I have to be, looked after. And so I left the church environment, but I was always aware. And then as you go through your career, you get caught up in the world. And I was around 29, 30 when I signed for Derby County. And me and somebody that we know very well, Darren Moore, I'm sure you'd be fine with me mentioning this, we roomed together. And Darren was really strong and in terms of his faith, and me and him would have discussions. And over the course of the seasons, those discussions really started to touch me in a way that I started to come back into the church environment. And remember speaking to Darren, and Darren was really good in terms of helping me in the walk with football, never judged me, but always used to drop a word in. And over a period of time, a couple of seasons, those words started to really take a hold and impact my life for the good. And then I decided it's time I returned back to what I knew as a toddler, but it drifted away. And it was so special when I went back and gave my life to Christ again. And I've never looked back since.